We have noticed that very often intermediate learners have problems pronouncing the ed when it is added to form variants of the past tenses. The good news is that this is solvable. Remember, these rules only apply to regular verbs. In English, the ed which is used to form the past tenses is pronounced in three ways. Either d, t or id. And let me just emphasise that anything else is incorrect. In English, there are sounds which are known as voiced sounds, and there are sounds which are known as unvoiced sounds. When adding the ed to a verb in order to form the past tense, you have to focus on the last sound of the verb's infinitive. If the last sound is one of the unvoiced sounds, then the ending is t. So the sounds are f, k, p, s, x, ch. Here are some examples of unvoiced verbs. Remember, it is the sound at the end of the infinitive which will decide if the ed is voiced or unvoiced. Examples of unvoiced. To work. K is unvoiced, so when the ed is added, it is worked. To stop. P is unvoiced, so when the ed is added, it is stopped. And one for luck. To pass. S is unvoiced, so when we add the ed, it becomes, yes, you guessed it, passed. So what about voiced sounds? If the infinitive is ended with a sound which is not one of the unvoiced sounds, then it is voiced, and when the ed is added, it is pronounced as d. Here are two examples of voiced sounds. To kill, or is a voiced sound, so when the ed is added, then it becomes killed. To play, a is a voiced sound, so when ed is added, then it becomes played. Okay, one more example. To offer ends with a sound, which is voiced, so when ed is added, it will be offered. So that is voiced and unvoiced sounds covered in terms of pronouncing the ed when forming the past tenses. But hold on a minute. You said there would be three ways to pronounce the ed to form the past tenses. Don't you remember? Oh yes, I did say it could be either d, t or id. So when is the ed pronounced as id? Whenever the infinitive ends in a d or a t sound. Here are two examples. To want. The infinitive ends in t, so when the ed is added, it is pronounced wanted. To add ends in a d, so when the ed is added, it becomes added. And one more for luck. The verb create ends with the sound t, so when ed is added, it is pronounced created. If the last sound of the infinitive verb is d or t, it is id. As in wanted. If the last sound of the infinitive is voiced, it is pronounced d, as in borrowed. And if the last sound of the infinitive is unvoiced, it is pronounced t, as in picked. This will certainly take time to master. We suggest downloading the most popular 100 regular verbs and going through each one and trying to apply the rules outlined in this video. So from English on Air, we say good luck.